How's it going, guys? This is your boy Darth Buttkicker with Buttkicker Gaming, coming to you with another Queen's Blade Limit Break video. And this one's going to be moderately short to go over a new game type or game feature that was released in the game actually a couple of days ago, called Monster Takedown, otherwise known in some other games as Monster Hunt. Um, I say it released a couple of days ago, but we just got the notification that it released 1 day ago. So what I want to do is go in and just take a look at the notice that came out. New feature, Monster Takedown. Uh, Choose your beautiful warriors and formation wisely. Depending upon your opponents, your choices may help you inflict greater damage. Rewards will be distributed weekly, every Sunday. So basically, there's going to be weekly rewards. I'm going to go over the event and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that and also explain what your choices inflicting greater damage really means. And then kind of wrap it up with maybe some suggestions on what kind of tunes to use. So how do you access this new feature or event? If you didn't already stumble across it a couple of days ago, like I said, it released about 2 days ago, so some of us got a couple of hits in on the monster already before the notification went out. But down in the quest section, down here in the bottom left, you're going to click on quests, and it's actually on this screen. You don't have to go any further. It's off to the top right here, this little monster icon called Monster Takedown. We're going to click on that, and it's going to give you the current monster. I'm going to assume at this point that there may be other monsters to come. I really hope so. I think it would be kind of shitty if they really just had one monster. But let's go into it and check out the... I think she looks badass. Her name is Arachne. I honestly think that she looks cool as shit, if I'm being quite honest. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know. Just the animations in this game are actually, the illustrations are actually kind of cool, if you ask me. I apologize if I'm talking too fast. I'm all jacked up on Starbucks coffee. I don't know if anybody drinks that, but one thing I will tell you about this boss, having fought her twice already, is that she is a beast. Okay, this monster takedown event is vastly different than your, let's say, your guild boss. Let's go back out and take a look at the guild boss real quick. They call it training, but these are technically guild trials, little bosses that you can fight, and they really are pretty chumpy, to be honest. They do have a health pool, but they're kind of whack. You can go in here, and can't believe I just said whack. But you can go in and click on these and challenge these up to however many times your guild level lets you do it, and you just wail on them. You do as much damage as you can before either the turn limit runs out or you die. Most people aren't going to die. Now, I can tell you right now what sets this apart is that this lady is a beast, and she will wipe your team fairly hard. So I would consider this an end game activity, end game boss, even though it may be accessible to everybody. My max damage on my last attempt, which was my second attempt, was only 771,000. For my semi-okay team, unoptimized, my team is not optimized. My gear has not been updated the way that it should be, and I'm not leveled up the way that I should be either. And I'm going to fix that in the next couple of days. When we read the clip, it said that you can get a damage bonus. That's no different than some of the other activities. If you use certain warriors, you get a damage bonus. You can see the warrior up here. We're going to click on her. She's called the Necromancer. Stats are decreased for high difficulty quests, such as this. Adding recommended warriors gives you a stat bonus. Unfortunately, this Necromancer is one of the newer tunes that was released a couple of days ago. I'm sorry, about a week ago. They usually last about a week. So the timer says you got about a day and a half left to obtain her. Whether or not she is good, I have not had a chance to fully review her yet. But in terms of whether or not you should get her, I'll take a look at the toon and do an updated video before the end of the day, just to give you a little bit of time to decide if you want her. But back to the hunt here. You can do this up to 1 time a day, and this is daily. I've already tested it out. Like I said, I've already done it twice, and you do get rewards. My current rank is 37 for my shitty damage. Okay. Let's take a look at the abilities, because you can already take a look at it by clicking on the icon here, and right away you notice that she deals 150% of the target's attack as damage 3 times with a 40% chance to inflict poison. Like I said, I fought her twice, and this bitch smacks hard. She wipes my team fairly quickly, and I have an average team. 150% of the target's attack, which basically means if you have a high attack, and she's going to smack you for all of that plus 50% 3 times. And then she's going to inflict poison, which is new. Poison is, I'm not going to say it's a new debuff in the game, but I don't know of any current toon that has a poison effect. Target loses HP equal to 10% of the user's attack every turn. So it's kind of minor. Burns inflict, depending upon what toon you use, it's 10 to 15 to 20% depending upon how you buff it, but generally unbuffed it's usually 10 to 15% depending upon the warrior you have. But this right here is a smack ability, 150% of your attack as damage, and she hits everybody. This isn't a single target attack, so it's pretty brutal, but I can appreciate that. Second ability is a passive, Spider Silk, immobilize plus 30% while in battle. That goes hand in hand with her third ability, Hog Tie. Her third and fourth ability actually deals 150% magic damage to all enemies with a 70% chance to inflict bound. Bound, the description isn't here, but basically it's a movement impairment ability. And you pair this with this plus 30% while in combat, it's basically an immobilize. You can't attack back, or you can't use passive. So I'm not really sure because the bound passive isn't giving you the details, but you're going to get to see it in action here in a minute. The fourth passive is if there are less than 5 status effects applied to the warrior at the start of the turn, immobilize resistance plus 30%, which makes her, you can't lock her down, which she's a boss. I've noticed that I've tried using freeze toons and you can't freeze her. She seems to be immune anyway, so I'm not really sure I understand this passive, except for maybe some of the debuffs that you apply that are supposed to limit her abilities just don't trigger, but I haven't seen it. So the main abilities though is immobilizing you, doing massive amounts of damage to all your toons, but this first is A1, dealing 150% of your attack, and she hits all of you basically 3 times, which means you're getting smacked for everything, and the poison effects stack up really quick. You're gonna get to see that in action, but what I want to do is I want to show you, every time you complete this daily you do get rewards. I'm going to show you the tier list though, because I don't know, after fighting her twice, I don't know that these rewards are compensatory. At the end of the week, the #1 player gets 1,000 gems, 20 summoning scrolls, which is kind of piddly to me, but the value here is this newly added item to the game about a week ago, is these universal 5-star shards. These are very valuable. You collect 50 of them and you can synthesize a universal warrior shard, or that can be treated as a 5-star basically warrior that can be used for infusion material. So you want to be, the people at the top here that are doing this weekly are going to get these valuable rewards, so it may be worth putting together a good team. You have these challenge tasks though. I don't know why this says defeat a monster. I think you're not going to kill her. You're just going to end up doing what you're doing. But you deal certain amounts of damage and you get minor rewards. Some of the top players in the game are doing okay, sort of. You look at Steven, he's pretty stacked. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm sorry for calling anybody out. If you don't want to be in this video, please let me know in the comments. He's using a fairly decent team. He's got a high power level of 3 million, and his characters are pretty stacked. His damage went up quite a bit. He was at about 5 million yesterday. He went up to 7 million, but you can see some of these top players only doing 3.8 and 3.5 million damage. That's how difficult this boss really is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go into the battle. I'm using some fairly decent warriors, but attribute bonus negative 30%, which means I'm not doing the damage, and I don't have the new tune to increase that stat. So let's go ahead and hit her and just kind of watch out what happens. Look at all those defensive buffs she just put on herself when she got smacked. Look at all those poisons that just hit. She seems to be getting an attack buff every time. Yep, every time she gets a turn, she gets an attack and defense buff that can't be cleansed. Actually, I don't know that for sure. I'm not using a cleanse tune, and that might be part of my recommendation here. Look at all those debuffs. When she smacks, she's smacking everybody. Look at that immobilizing effect. It basically kind of restricts your turn, and then she just kills you. So my damage didn't really go up, and probably actually went down due to RNG. As you can see, I got 3 summoning scrolls for my shitty effort live on YouTube. Don't forget, after you do your battle, to come down here and collect your rewards. See, defeated 1 monster, you just took a turn, deal 100,000 damage, deal 300,000 damage. Okay, whatever, I'll collect my rewards. It's not that big a deal. 771,000 damage was my highest so far. That brings me to the part of the video where I do want to make recommendations on what tunes to bring, even though, again, I probably have no business making recommendations, but since I'm one of the only primary people making videos right now, I do have some suggestions. One is a tune that was around about a week ago in the Arrival summons that I wanted to pull for, because I have the tickets to do so, but I didn't, is under the physical attribute. I don't have her, so we're going to go to the index, and we're going to bring her up, and it's right here. Hydrangea of the Storm Claudette. I'm going to give you an overview. I'm going to buff her up fully to give you an overview of really kind of why I suggest this tune for her. And that is not because of these fairly decent abilities that she actually has. She's a burn, increased damage. It's this final ability here, this passive, Blooming Lightning. When receiving continuous damage from enemy debuffs, heal by 42% of the total damage, distributing healing equal among living allies. Okay, healing cannot exceed 200% of a warrior's attack. Whatever. Reduce continuous damage, including burns, bleeds, poisons. There's the key word right there. Poisons, curse, Gale Blade, and Wind Circle. I didn't pull her because I thought that the continuous damage only really applied to burns. There's not really a lot of... There are some tunes that do bleed damage, which I kind of forgot about, but we don't have tunes that deal poison damage. The bosses do. And with this new monster that's available, this new boss fight who deals tons of poison damage, and you can see that my little piddly healer was not keeping up with the boss. Go back to her abilities though. You got to find a way to mitigate the 150% of the target's attack, but the 40% chance of inflicting poison, she's inflicting that. With her passives and different things, she's actually getting that poison out. But basically, with that tune, you would have free healing every time she took damage, and she would take damage because all of her abilities hits everybody. It's not gonna help in the long. It's not gonna help in certain circumstances, but I really feel like that tune could really help you. So next event, I'm actually going to pull to pick her up because I really think that that passive is going to be, if they're going to continue to add good things like that boss, I really think that that passive is good. Another good couple of tunes is like, go to the Break Warrior. Anybody that does counter attacks like the Charming Pirate, counter attacks on a lot of different abilities, uh, the gem mating under the magic attribute, she has counter attack as well as good defensive abilities. A lot of the tank type tunes in here they do really, really good damage. And there's a lot of tanks in here that have retaliation and damage reduction. So my recommendation on tunes, without being an expert on the game, is counterattack tunes, highly defensive and destructive warriors. There's a lot in the break and attribute, uh, which are the harder ones to get, unfortunately. But that's just the nature of the game, you know, unfortunately. The physical warriors have quite a few of them that do it. Uh, right here, General Thunder is a good one to use. Highly recommend Bandit Leader right here because of the protect, counter, and damage that she actually does. When you get a chance to take a look at those tunes. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to give you an update and my thoughts on the monster takedown. I really think that this was a good element to introduce to the game because all the other elements to the game were kind of, I'm not going to say trivial, but in retrospect to the power that some of the teams and tunes have in here, this was sorely needed. This, other than PvP being a challenge, this is a good thing to add. I'm not sure how I feel about, again, your stats being kind of low, your attributes being lowered to fighter, and having to use certain tunes because a lot of them are probably going to be the newer tunes that come out. And as the game goes on, more and more people will have them. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, what tunes you're using and why, so that maybe we can all come up with a good way to kind of counter some of her more powerful abilities, aside from the obvious of leveling up your tunes and getting them maxed out, high stars and high artifact gear. Um, Let me know what you think of this added feature. Was it needed? Was it not needed? Do we need more features like this? And as always, if you can, like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you can. It's never necessary, but I am new to YouTube and I am looking to kind of build up somewhat of a reputation. That's all I got for today, and have a good one.